Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we've got a really special interview for you. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you won't have been able to avoid the news that the Dallas Fuel player xQc was actually released from his contract and the Overwatch League. Well, today we've got a long-form interview with the man himself. We cover a number of topics, including what are his personal feelings about the whole situation, what his plans are to do next, what he'd do differently if he had his time over again, and whether or not he thinks the fairly harsh criticism of his behaviour in the past has been justified or not. Now, I know a lot of you will have some fairly strong feelings about xQc, and that by the end of this video your opinions might not have changed either way. But actually one of the benefits of doing something like this in a slightly longer form is that it really gives people the room to draw their own conclusions. Anyway, I'll stop going on now and we can jump straight into the interview. I really hope you like the video, guys, and be sure to leave a comment down below. Okay, so welcome to the channel, Felix. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great today, actually. What about you?
Yeah, awesome. Really excited for this interview. Obviously, the first thing that everyone's going to want to know is, how does xQc feel after leaving the league? Where's your head at? How are you feeling, dude?
It's extremely anxious for me because not having like a contract and the structure around me and all these people helping, losing of all of that, and maybe even my housing is it's a little scary at times. But I'm also very excited for the future. I'm invigorated to see what's next for me and, you know, just produce content and have some fun. So.
Okay, so the next question that everyone's going to ask is, like, post-league, is it a goal of yours to return to top-level competition at any point, or are you done now? Is this it, that one experience, you don't want to repeat it, and you're just going to focus on your stream?
It really depends on how things shape up, how good the main tanks become, and how the scene shapes up, really. For me, it's sort of a side goal that is very hard to obtain because coming back in will be very tough. Trial process and all that stuff. So for now, I'm just going to focus on streaming and making some good content, really.
I often feel that when you've spoken about it on stream, that there was a bit of tension between being a pro in the Overwatch League and wanting to maintain your stream. How much of a factor will that be in any future decisions you make about whether to play again or whether not to?
Basically, this is sort of a tough decision. It's always difficult because of how difficult it is to grind through and grow the stream and make it big and stuff. So seeing it go down and lose a big portion of it so fast while practicing and playing, it's very scary. And it's like you're taking a decision every hour of every day, right? So when I'm scrimming or practicing, I know I'm losing something. I'm losing some people, and I'm losing opportunity, you know, to really like make content. So
what that's telling me is that you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and maybe something to do with the fact that the stream is something that you built on your own, whereas being a pro is something that you might have thought you wanted for various reasons. Can you just describe like how you feel about that exchange now? Would you rather be doing your own thing than meeting expectations of other people, maybe?
That's very interesting. I still have the drive, and I would love to be able to do both. I personally love to be excited about things and be hyped and have a lot of energy, and practice took a lot of energy, so it was hard for me to do both. But right now I think streaming is something that I'm looking more towards to doing. I'm a very like competitive person, well, like a big competitive like nature, so I always want to prove people wrong and prove people that I can perform and meet people's expectations in terms of like the fans and the viewers of the Overwatch League, and also my team, my coach. Every time that I would do something better and I would improve, and the coaches would be, hey, I was really good today, I appreciate this. It really fueled me, no pun intended, to push harder and stuff. And that's something that you just don't find in streaming. But at the same time, right now, I feel a little more validated by streaming because spending so much time on the bench and being suspended and whatnot, and spectating a lot of scrims or practice instead of actually playing them, it made me feel like I was being wasted. And yeah, it was straining over time. Basically, the feeling that I had was that I had to prove myself to be on a starting roster, right? Because we had Coco. So me spectating scrims, and I was not given like a lot of maps, and I would show late to scrims and stuff. So I didn't really prove myself in that sense at all. I had to put aside the stream and its growth and my enjoyment for it to play or practice, but I wasn't playing or practicing it. So it felt like every minute, every hour was like just me like wasting time. And it's a lot of pressure.
So on one hand, you felt like you weren't doing what you were there to do, and also the stream was dying.
Absolutely. I was just losing on both ends, and it's like the worst position to ever be in because I would like to have it one way or another because I worked super hard for both, but I can settle for one. But
not neither.
Yeah, seeing myself sort of working towards ending with nothing is extremely stressful.
From your perspective, how much of you leaving the Overwatch League was down to your own behavior, and how much of it were perhaps other external forces working behind the scenes?
I would say it would be like a ratio of 7-3 or something like that, I think.
To who?
To the outside forces. Basically, I feel like when there's a negative thread about me or negative sort of thing happening and with my name on it, it gains a lot of traction very fast. And people build their opinions on the negative side extremely quickly. And it becomes very, very hard for me to defend myself or for people to give me like benefit of the doubt at any point, which makes it so people know 100% that they can get me punished for anything that I do. So it motivates them, I guess, to look a little deeper in, right? Where some other players or the most players actually would get away with it. But at the same time, it's why would you want to get away with something in the first place, right? I don't want to do like wrong things. If I was being reasonable here, I'd say that even after first punishment, I really didn't understand the strict aspect of the league and just how serious it all was. It was really after the email, the second punishment, the one right now, that I really understood that, damn, this is really serious.
Okay, that's quite interesting because I was going to ask you a question like how fair you thought the disciplinary process was to you, but you've kind of answered that. Is there anything you'd like to add about that, about the disciplinary process?
This might be a little harsh on them, but I simply have to say it. I feel like some players, casters, or staff can easily get away with certain things, whereas I probably can't. And I feel like the strictness is okay, and the seriousness of the league is okay, but I do feel like the consistency is not there at all, and it becomes very, very frustrating over time.
Do you think that that was an extra pressure on you, that you felt like if I make a mistake, it's going to all come down on me, but all these people are getting away with it? Will that inform your future decision making about whether rejoining the league with another team?
I would say absolutely. I don't find enjoyment out of seeing other people suffer or get punished at all, even though I might have made it seem to be at some point. If I do see people getting punished for the same thing that I did and disciplinary action becoming more and more consistent, I think I would be motivated to do a re-entry, yeah. But for now, it seems like I am more than okay with being on the sidelines.
If you had your time over, what would you do differently, if anything?
As weird as it sounds, I would say not try to have these quote-unquote nice things where I can just be myself and act the way I do on stream or interact with my community everywhere in the same manner. I would shut it down a little bit sometimes where I know that my really sort of special behavior would not be welcomed or well received by the mainstream people, right? Such as the Overwatch League viewers, bringing a lot of people from the outside and from the game client, people that aren't aware of Twitch community, the Twitch culture and stuff. I would be much more careful with all of it. I would also look, like when I say something, the possible way it could be viewed by others and every possible negative ways it could be spun in before saying it or doing it, which is very hard because I say a lot of things because I stream so much and I talk so much and I talk so fast, and it becomes problematic. To be honest, I don't think I was suited for it in the first place. I just didn't know how strict it was all going to be.
That leads into another thing that I wanted to ask you. Like, what did you find most challenging about being a pro in that environment?
For me, a lot of times on stream, I like to basically, I say all my thoughts out loud, and I sort of like make conclusions and make answers myself while I'm doing so. And then I have an answer, right? I guess for me, the toughest thing was to be put in a position where people wanted answers or the good answer. And I didn't even have it myself. So I would, say things and be like, oh, that's just wrong, right? And sort of correct myself, but it was sort of like too late, right? So I was never really put in a position before Overwatch League where I had to be a certain way right off the bat, right? Because I always correct myself and explore ideas and thought patterns. Is that like a weird answer?
No, not at all. I think most people would call that thinking out loud. You do your processing
Absolutely.
out loud, and
Yeah.
other people don't. They want the finished answer now.
Yeah.
They don't want to see the sums, right? It's like doing maths at school.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't want to see you do the working out. They don't care. They just, what's the
Yeah.
answer?
Exactly. So when I would have like press stuff, like interviews and people asking questions and stuff, I would sort of catch myself thinking out loud, and I feel like that is like the possible worst thing ever. At the same time, I think one of the toughest thing I'm gonna add on top of that, one of the toughest thing was noticing patterns of media outlets and people and social media really looking at my stream like an interview, right? Like everything I would say would be analyzed immediately, right? Without really like taking care of the entire context or the thought process or the humor aspect of it. They would literally like it's an interview. But if I stream 11 hours a day or 12 hours a day, a 12-hour interview, at some point I'm gonna be frustrated, tired, exhausted. So my thought process and my things are gonna be a little altered at that point. And if they take that and they put it out there, it represents me in such a negative way and something that I really can't predict the fallout of, right? So that's like by far the toughest thing.
I guess that's the cost of being a professional player. You do represent those organizations and the league at all times. So, is that a level of pressure that you weren't used to, would you say? Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I was not ready about that for that at all. It caught me off guard, and it took me a little bit of time to get adjusted to it. And I don't think I've made the adjustments quite yet either. A good example of that would be at some point I was on stream. I was just like doing it like a thought process thing of like, can people stop like analyzing everything I say, whatever? Can people stop doing that? Like my stream is my outlet. It's my way to release pressure and chill and stuff, right? And after that, I was like, oh no, but that makes no sense because I represent a brand and a sponsor, and I have a sponsor on my screen, so that this thought process makes no sense. And I corrected myself. And at some point, there's like a news outlet that literally just cut out the part where I say, I don't represent anyone. This is my outlet or whatever. And the title was like, actually doesn't care about being a pro. He doesn't know what it is to be like to represent a brand. And it made me so confused. I was just speaking out loud. Like if I knew this was like an interview or whatever, I would have acted differently. I think a lot of times on stream, I do that a lot, like in a funny way, and I love doing that. Just thought process and what I have on my mind and thinking out loud, and it's a lot of fun. Having that ripped away from me in that regard is a little frustrating.
Okay, so that leads into another point. Like your success coming from the garage days, right, back in the day, to being a pro in the league. To most people, that period of time is incredibly short, actually. So your rise to the top was virtually meteoric in terms of popularity, both as a pro and as a streamer. Do you think that actually played a factor in you not being prepared, because it's not possible for you to have had that experience in that short period of a time?
Absolutely. It's not something I want to use as an argument. Since you're asking, I'm going to answer. But I never want to hide behind the fact that, hey guys, the stream grew very fast and popularity went fast, and I couldn't get adapted to. But from hindsight, I can definitely tell you that every time the stream would have bumps in its popularity and growth, it would always be a step. I can definitely tell you every single time the stream grew, like from something like World Cup, like MVP, like World Cup Poland, like winning a tournament or getting suspended once, the stream grew a little bit, and it was always a big learning curve. And in the Overwatch League, when things grew fast, then the learning curve was much more punishing, where if I did make a mistake, it would get punished so hard. And really, from hindsight again, it's kind of hard for me to, how would I do it differently? It's pretty hard, not gonna lie, because I would have to change the entire structure of my stream and the things how I do things. And to be quite honest, I don't think I was ready for that. And I don't think I was suited for it. I like streaming way too much, and I like doing my thing. Seriously.
You said in a recent stream you were raised by Twitch chat. What did you mean by that?
Basically, I used to play professionally for an old team, and I would have like a girlfriend, and I would meet my family all the time and have like dinners and stuff, and I would really socialize and stuff. when me and my girlfriend broke up, the team we stopped playing because there was no more tournaments, not because we weren't playing well. There was nothing to play for, nothing to strive for and improve for. I started training full time, like 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, and nonstop. And from that point on, I just noticed behavior patterns in myself. I was sort of talking like Twitch chat, and there's no one to punish me for it. There's no real human in front of me that's gonna say like, why are you saying what face? Why are you saying Dan's game? Why are you saying PogChan? Why are you saying Poggers? What does that even mean? Like, why are you saying that out loud? Nobody said that because when I said that in the chat, people reward you for it by typing those emotes, right? So it's like, it's rewarding. It's like, hells yeah, you know? Like Poggers, I see Poggers in chat. It's cool. Basically, all these memes, all these emotes, all these patterns just became me. And I was just like stuck in this like echo chamber of what I'm doing. It is good, but from a non-stream perspective, from a non-Twitch culture, non-Twitch chat, it's so bad. So yeah, that's what I mean by being raised by Twitch chat. So after spending so much, like, I don't know, like a year, I think right now at this point, where I stream full time almost, or close to a year, you know, I sort of did it to myself.
I think it's reasonable to say that you're sometimes controversial.
Yeah.
How much do you think people's criticism of you is fair, would you say, on average? And do you actually plan on changing some of these patterns of behavior that have gotten you into these controversial moments in the future? Like, is that something that's important to you, or are you just going to embrace it?
Well, I 100% guarantee change in certain types of behavior that I even see myself doing that I don't like, not in like an entertaining manner. I'm not going to shut those out, but things that I just didn't understand or was ignorant about, that I'm getting educated about, that are just flat out wrong or could be seen as wrong, cutting those out. Sort of things in my language that I did not understand at all, the extent that I'm cutting out as well. And that stems from good criticism. That's why I think more than half of criticism is good that I'm getting from people. But the rest, there's a big portion of comments that are like, this guy is so weird or so this, and they it's like they want all the streamers to be a certain way. And I don't want that whatsoever. So I shut these criticism out entirely, 100%. I think if I read too many of them, then I sort of subconsciously go into that model of that people want me to be, like this nice streamer, like always doing these normal things and whatever. And I don't want to be that. So it's hard for me to find good criticism because I have to understand the extent of it all the time.
Will you be breaking out of the Overwatch directory, or is it important to you to be playing that game as your main, or are you going to branch out and play other games and be a sort of variety streamer?
This is a lot of fun. This is why I said earlier that I was excited but also anxious, because I have a lot of plans. Basically, I'd love to maybe do contender stuff, covering a little bit of Overwatch League content, doing like analysis stuff, or like casting stuff, or doing maybe even my own tournament, or even like my own like in-house 1v1 tournaments with like Overwatch League players. There's a lot of good plans that I want to do, and a lot of exciting things actually that I think are crazy. I want to do more IRL stuff, interacting with people, you know, just being more free. Other games, sure. I thought about doing like maybe like one day of variety every week. So just to relax and sort of reinvigorate myself into playing Overwatch in the next couple of days. So much good stuff coming up.
Thank you very much for being on the channel, Felix. If there's anything final that you'd like to say to your fans or anyone else, go ahead.
It was my pleasure. I had a lot of fun actually. This was almost like therapeutic. On an ending note, thanks for watching. Thanks for always being here. Always appreciate all the support. Yeah, I'm excited.
If people don't know, where can people find your stream and your Twitter?
On Twitch, xQcOW, and on Twitter, xQc. Thanks so much.